Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Laludazar Gazilfa. I am from class 5 TP1, and in this video I'm going to present my morphology project for the midterm examination. This project focuses on the analysis of morphological processes in the Sasak language. In this presentation, I will begin with a short introduction to my dataset, then move to the morpheme analysis, followed by the main morphological processes in Sasak, a comparative reflection between Sasak and English, and finally, my personal reflection on what I learned from this project. Now, let's begin with the first part, the introduction. For this project, I selected 25 Sasak words as my dataset. These words represent a variety of basic vocabulary in the Sasak language, including nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Some examples are Bali, meaning house, Medaran, meaning eat, Lampa, meaning walk, Ime, meaning hand, and Anak, meaning child. The main goal of this project is to analyze these words morphologically by identifying their morphemes and determining whether they are free or bound morphemes. I also classified each morpheme as either inflectional or derivational, depending on its function and meaning. Having introduced the dataset, let's now move on to the morpheme analysis. In this section, I analyzed 10 Sasak words in detail. For example, the word ulum consists of ulu plus the bound morpheme m. The suffix marks possession or definiteness, giving the meaning the head or your head. Another example is ninik, which is formed from nini plus the suffix ak. The suffix ak also marks possession, producing the meaning my grandma or my grandpa. In derivational morphology, Sasak makes extensive use of prefixes to form new words. For instance, pelangan is derived from pe plus langan, creating the noun buyer, from the root to buy. Similarly, pengeraos combines pe and ngeraos, forming the word choker. The prefix me is also very productive, as in merampek, meaning to smack, and menyatu, meaning to serve. Meanwhile, the prefix te marks the passive voice as seen in tedengah, meaning to be listened, tegita, meaning to be seen, and the siu, meaning to be shooed away. From this analysis, I found that Sasak morphology contains both inflectional and derivational morphemes. Inflectional morphemes often show grammatical changes such as voice or possession, while derivational morphemes create new words or change the word class. After analyzing the morphemes, I continued by identifying the main morphological process that occur in the Sasak language. There are four major morphological processes found in Sasak language, which are affixation, reduplication, compounding, and borrowing. First, affixation. Sasak uses a variety of prefixes and suffixes to modify or form new words. Examples include tedengah, from dengah, meaning listen, which becomes to be listened. Pelangan, from langan, meaning buy, which becomes buyer, and menyatu, from nyatu, meaning serve, which becomes to serve. Second, reduplication. This process expresses plurality, repetition, or intensity. For example, kanak-kanak means children, rame-rame means together, and lampak-lampak means taking a walk. Third, compounding. This process combines two or more free morphemes. Some examples are Bali Bele, meaning big house, Ai Kenyaman, meaning coconut water, and Ambon Jawa, meaning cassava. Lastly, borrowing. Sasak has borrowed many words from other languages, especially Dutch, Arabic, and English, due to cultural and historical context. For instance, sekolah comes from the word school, kantor from kantor, ustad and kitab from Arabic, and motor from English motorcycle. Having described these four processes, let's now see how they compare to the morphological system in English. When comparing Sasak and English morphology, we can see that both languages share some similarities but also show interesting differences. In affixation, both languages use affixes to form new words or mark grammatical features. However, Sasak makes greater use of prefix like te, pe, and me, while English relies mostly on suffixes such as er, les, and nes. For example, pelangan means in Sasak means buyer, while teacher in English means a person who teach. In reduplication, Sasak uses this process productively to show plurality or repetition, such as kanak-kanak for children. In contrast, English reduplication is not grammatical but rather stylistic or playful, as in bye-bye or chick-chock. In compounding, both languages combine words to create specific meanings. Sasak examples include bale-bele, meaning big house, while English has blackboard and toothbrush. The structure is similar, where the modifier comes before the head noun. Finally, in borrowing, both languages show openness to adopting foreign words. Sasak borrowings mostly reflect colonial and religious influences, while English borrowings show global interaction with many other languages. Through this comparison, it becomes clear that both languages use morphological processes creatively to expand vocabulary and express meaning. Next, I will share my reflection on what I experienced and learned throughout this project. During this project, I found that analyzing morphemes in Sasak words was both interesting and challenging. One of the main challenges was distinguishing between inflectional and derivational morphemes, especially when affixes such as the and p can serve both grammatical and lexical functions. Another difficulty was identifying sound changes that occur when affixes attach to roots, such as in menyatu or priapan. I also faced challenges deciding how to treat borrowed words like sekolah and kantor, whether to consider them as native forms or as loan words. Despite these challenges, this project helped me understand the structure and the flexibility of Sasak morphology more deeply. It also improved my ability to analyze words systematically and to see how meaning is built through smaller linguistic units. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you for listening and watching my presentation. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.